How are you, my friends? For a while now, some of my business partners and friends have been asking me to create my own videos. They felt that the conversations, the discussion, what we have in business or social settings carry value and it will be worth sharing more widely. I have been an entrepreneur over 10 years, a first generation immigrant, and I have had my fair share of ups and downs with mental health. I wrote a book on that as well. So I thought, why not share some of these reflections? Maybe this will spark something meaningful, or at least make you think that you are not alone, or someone you know are not alone. Because let's be honest, so many of us dealt with loneliness, financial risk, cultural stigma, burnout. But here we are, still standing, still laughing, still occasionally crying in the lonely nights, but no regrets. In this series, I will try to explain why these struggles happen, the core understanding behind them, how broader awareness can help us navigate them better, and what we can actually do to improve our situations. Before, when I have had these discussions, most of the time people immediately jump to what should be done and they got stuck into their own opinion. But the problem is, if you don't understand the context and the reasons behind the struggle, then the solution feels like an isolated object. It doesn't really blend or connect. Carl Jung once said, whenever you hear anyone talking about a culture or even a human problem, you should never forget to inquire who the speaker really is. The more general the problem, the more the person will smuggle his or her own personal psychology into the account he or she gives of it. That means the more general problem, more personal psychology into play. And from that, I would like to talk today is mind your own culture. When we talk about mental health, most people think it's purely personal. Sometimes inside your head only, but it's not just biology or psychology, it's also society and culture. Your beliefs, your values, family rules, ambition, even what your community calls honor, all of that play a role in how mental health shows up and how it's treated. Take a simple example. In many Asian families, if you are struggling, the first stop isn't therapy. It's probably a close friend or a temple or a mosque or your auntie. Going to a doctor or therapist, that's usually the last step when things have already hit rock bottom. According to the research published by the Commonwealth Fund, minorities in the US are less likely to receive mental health treatment, or they wait until symptoms become severe. This is true for Australia, Canada, UK, and the other high income countries. The majority population tends to seek help earlier, while minorities may wait until the illness becomes severe. Why? Stigma, shame, and the belief that admitting to a mental struggle makes you weak. It leads to rejection, discrimination, exclusion from many areas of society. And if you have historical trauma such as racism, colonization, or national conflicts, these scars can pass across generations. Culture shapes how we even talk about mental health. In patriarchal societies, men are told to man up and never show feelings. In many families, people avoid professional help because they are worried about reputation of family honor. When government safety nets are weak, like in parts of Asia or Africa, when the family becomes the only system of care, sometimes unfortunately, many just get left behind. Resources are not always directly cultural, but their accessibility is often shaped by culture. A psychiatrist in India once told me, if you ask any neighborhood for the best doctor, people will name a physician, gynecologist, or a child specialist, almost never a psychiatrist. Why? People only see one when it's way too late. It's like waiting for your car engine to completely explode before visiting the mechanic. And then there is trauma. We often hear, express yourself, let it out. Talking will heal you. But that's not always true. For refugees, asylum seekers, or people who have lived through genocide or war, talking can rip open old wounds. I know a Romanian man who lived in a refugee camp with his wife and newborn during the revolution. To this day, he barely talks about it. Sometimes silence isn't denial, it's survival. Some mental illness can be genetic and not necessarily cultural. Others may develop after severe brain injury or traumatic experiences such as war, natural disasters such as tsunamis or earthquake, serious accidents, military combat, or assault. A childhood history of abuse or neglect can leave deep scars on person's psyche. And growing up without healthy relationships or in a constant state of conflict can also leave lasting impressions on someone's mind. The National Alliance on Mental Health reports that 75% of mental health conditions developed by the age of 24. The reasons why mental illness develops may differ. Some may be triggered by grief, others by financial loss. But what matters most is addressing it, because twisted trust, loss of self esteem, or disempowerment are not easy to overcome without support. Because remember, not everyone has a mental illness, but everyone has mental health. Just like we brush our teeth or eat or watch OTT, we need to give our minds the same care. In next episode, we will talk about power differences within communities and how they navigate. Thanks for watching.